for exercises, okay, now fixing posture through movement. Lots of us have back pain now because we sit for so long. When we're sitting for so long, what happens? Our hip flexors become short. What is a short hip flexor? What does that mean? So imagine that I'm sitting on a chair. Imagine both of my legs are up. I'm just showing you here with my left leg. Right now, my hip flexor is short. This is the hip flexor, the muscle that flexes my hip. So when it comes up, it's flexing when it comes up. It's short right now. Now it's long when I stretch it back like this. You see? Short, long, the other way. All day it's short. So when it's short, naturally, when we're standing, it's gonna be short. And when it's short, standing, I'm gonna stand with bad posture because it's short. So I'm gonna tuck my butt back and have this lordosis that I was talking about. Even though my knees are bent, my hip flexors are short. So I don't even know, my body doesn't even know how to be long in my hip flexors and have them long and straight. I think you get the point. So what do? We have to lengthen the hip flexors. Stretching for lengthening the hip flexors. 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle. You can be on your toes or feet here. Now, there's this stretch and lots of people come forward as much as they can. But before that, we have to make sure that our hip flexor is over the knee. I have good posture and I flex my left glute. It's flexed, okay? I flex the glute itself, engaging the glute, and this in itself is already good for back pain, engaging the glute. And then I slightly lean forward. If this hurts on your knee, you could put a pillow under. And I flex the glute, and you'll see, once you flex the glute and you slightly lean forward, you'll already feel the stretch, and you don't even have to go that deep. It's all about having your tailbone tucked in. I'm not stretching like this with my tailbone like this. I'm not like this. I'm tucking in my tailbone, engaging my glute, and coming slightly forward. And then with time, even while it's engaged, you can come forward and forward and forward. Okay? That's number one for a hip flexor stretch. Then there's the couch stretch, which is very nice, and it's just like the hip flexor stretch. But first, I would recommend starting with this, and this is also enough for good posture. But couch stretch is also very important for mobility. It's when you're against the wall or a couch and you lift this up against something and your foot is against something. Or you could also do it with your hand. And then you grab, this takes some balance and shoulder opening, but I'm just showing you. And this is a really good stretch for your hip flexors and quads. And eventually the goal is to get them to touch. And you see, I lack mobility here. So I gotta do more work. Hip flexor and couch stretch, excellent for hip flexor stretches, okay? And once our hip flexors become more open, while we're standing, they'll be longer, and then naturally we'll have the ability to stand with good posture. Instead of short, it's long. You see, this is short, this is long. So, we talked about breath, we talked about hip flexor opening because it's short, so we have to lengthen it. Now, when we're sitting, our glutes are also not engaged. And when we're sitting all day, our glutes are off the whole day, are turned off. And our glutes are a huge muscle that are in charge of so much movement. And if our glutes aren't engaged, our glutes are muscles right next to our lower back. And if they're not working, guess who's gonna take the work instead? It's right there, it's the back. So you gotta strengthen them glutes. Exercises for strengthening the glutes. For someone who is first just learning to engage and move your body, just simple ones like this. You come into all fours and you lift just come up and hold. You can hold, breathing into this position, making sure that my lower back isn't falling. My tailbone is tucked in, my core is engaged. I'm breathing like I learned how to breathe. And I'm holding, and I can also do ups and downs, pulses. And then you can come and bring your knees like this, and you can do sideways, fire hydrants, making sure you do both sides in all the exercises always. Now, those are, when you do this, you're working the gluteus, the maximus, and when you do this, I think it's the minimus, it's the side. There's one exercise which really helped me. I remember when I had really bad back pain when I was 18, and this one really helped me, that I found from Athlean X on YouTube, which is an awesome guy. I recommend you watch his videos. He has so much knowledge. So this, I'm pretty sure the muscle is the quadratus laborum. I don't remember. It's not important. It's really not important, the name of the muscle. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a name we gave it. This is for like a deep glute muscle that I'm just figuring out how to do it. A deep glute muscle that is on the side. It's here. It's this muscle over here. It's on the side. And you'll see when the glutes aren't engaged, this muscle also becomes very weak. And sometimes just like bringing fire to that area and making it strength, you'll feel, for me, I felt pretty instant relief when I did it back in the day, and every time I would come back to it. But making sure that you keep it up and keep doing it will help keep you give you a strong glutes. And once you already have a strong glutes, you make sure that you keep doing movement practice, keep engaging your glutes. Like number one for all this back pain thing is just create a habit of movement. If you don't have a habit of movement, this is like A, B, C. Like you have to have a habit of movement, and then you do these movement stuff that fix your movement, then everything comes together and you don't have to do these exercises anymore because the body knows how to move and it uses these muscles naturally. People didn't do these weird exercises, but now I'll show you. Wait. People were just active. That's what I want to say. So I lie on my side. And if this doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to film it again. I'm just making sure that you can hear me and see me. Lying on my side. Maybe I make a pillow with my arms like this, or I can come down like this. It's not important. However comfortable on one of my sides. Now I bend the lower leg and my upper leg, which is my right one on this side. I'm gonna bring my arm over here on my side and I lift, okay? Now when I'm lifting, I'm leaning a little bit forward and I'm bringing my toes. You see how my toes are, I'm trying to bring them out, down. I'm trying to bring my big toe down to the ground so that I can also come to the floor, and I can also bring my arm here, my thumb onto my glute, and I feel how it's being engaged, okay? And I bring it down. I could also bend my knee, straighten, keep it in the air, and bring it up. When I bring it up, I feel how the muscle is engaging. And if it's weak, I could also use my thumb to kind of help it engage. You like move it. You see how it's like this? I'm bringing it and I'm moving it right here. It's on the side of the glute. Right here, I hope you can see. And it's already on fire. So you could do like 8 to 10 of these. And at the end, when you bring it up and down, you do 10, let's say, or however much is comfortable. At the end, you can hold and breathe and keep your thumb there. And it's on fire right now. Wow. I'm gonna have to do the other side after to just balance it. I'll probably be okay also if I don't. It's okay, I just did it 1 second. But make sure you always do both sides, especially when you're working on fixing your body. You always want to do both sides and everything so that you strengthen both sides. You don't create any imbalances. So that exercise in itself teaches your glutes to engage, and it's a really strong exercise which really helped me with the back pain, because having weak glutes is a lot of time why we have back pain. And one more hip exercise for the toolkit. It's working on our internal and external rotation of the hip. So this is internal rotation, the hip is turning inward, and this is external rotation where it turns outward. So you can put your feet in a 90-90 degree angle. They call this 90-90.
So here there's 90, 90. Here there's also 90. And here there's also 90. And I start out facing forward. I bring my left hand, the hand that's the same side as the open legs, I bring it back. And I try to bring my left glute, here on my left side, my right foot is forward, my left glute to the mat. Try to bring it to the mat, and maybe I can spread my foot a little bit back this way, and then I'll feel more of the stretch. And here I'm opening my internal rotation of the hip, and then I can come forward and engage the glute, and I come back, forward, back. I'm just teaching the hip to have mobility here, so it can go internal and it can go normal. Internal, normal. Sometimes when you start with this, you'll just feel it cramping right away. You do the other side, same thing. Forward. Bring the right glute to the ground. 90, 90. Now, after this, you can come forward. Hands in front of the front leg, in front of the left leg on this side. My right leg is back. And I keep my right foot on the ground and lift my right knee. Here I'm working on the external rotation of the hip. And then I can do the opposite, lifting my right foot, but making sure that when I'm lifting it, I'm facing forward and I'm not doing any extra, I'm not leaning forward to lift it up. I'm using the muscle itself. And I can hold here, breathe into it, get it burning. Here, this is burning. And these are really good hip stabilizer exercises. And then you could also have one where you come forward, 90-90, hands forward. You fall forward, come up, forward, and up, pushing my front knee against the ground. Eventually I do it hands free. And you'll see how much this activates the glutes and the hips. Very good hip exercises for creating stable and mobile hips. And then you could also progress to this variation. Really good stuff. All free just for you, so you can live pain-free.
So try that out, and I hope it helps. So we talked about breath, we talked about hip flexor length, and we talked about strengthening our hips. Now it's hip flexor length, but also strengthening our hip flexors is also very important. So exercises like this, where you're lying on your back and you lift, these are very good hip flexors. Or like this, or while you're standing, you can do stuff like this with weights on your legs also. But you could also do everything body weight and just do enough reps, especially in the beginning when you're teaching the body to become stronger and to move when it's all in pain. I recommend without weight and just working more and more reps, so you first build the muscle stamina, and then with time eventually you could start adding weight. But first, everything do body weight and just do lots of reps, and then you'll tire out the muscle like crazy, but you won't put it under too much stress, so you'll teach it how to work well. And that's how I recommend always. So you see, it's about like learning to have good posture, breathe well, and then balance out the hips, because lots of times the hips aren't working well, and when the hips aren't working well and aren't balanced, the whole structure is going to be wrong. Because if the hips are wrong, if the glutes aren't activated, if these are short, things are going to be off, and then the back is going to be off, you see, because it's like one side is stronger, one side is weaker, so my back is trying to like compensate with a weird posture. You get what I'm saying? So you got to stabilize the hips. Now it's also feet.
May you and all of your loved ones be blessed with peace, abundance, freedom from physical and mental pain. May you and all of your loved ones be happy.